Dozens of encampment sites are still set up throughout Toronto, despite the city's effort to dismantle them. The city says they are dangerous, with multiple fires breaking out over the past couple of weeks. Meanwhile, advocates and those who use them say these sites are their only safe option, especially during this pandemic.
Nobody willingly chooses encampments as a priority. If the shelter system and shelter hotels were safe and viable options, people would be using them and not in encampments.
After 3 years in the shelter system, Brian Cleary now lives in Toronto community housing. He still has many friends in encampment sites and understands why they don't want to leave.
Choose to use the shelters for showers, laundry, the basics of life. But when it comes for a safe place to leave their head, rather than sleep in the shelter system where they can be assaulted and have their stuff stolen, they choose to sleep outside with their friends where they feel safe.
The city says otherwise. Just this morning, there was an encampment fire at Bloor Street East and Parliament Street. 2 days ago, a fire broke out at an encampment outside Lamport Stadium. The city says there's been a 250% increase in fires at these camps since January of 2020. The city's chief communications officer, Brad Ross, says these sites are unsafe for multiple reasons.
They have propane tanks and gasoline and other combustibles. We collected 50 needles last week at St. James Park when we cleaned that encampment. And with summer now upon us, just about, those parks where we see large numbers of encampments need to be accessible for all Torontonians, need to be safe for all Torontonians.
Some Torontonians are showing their support by putting up these signs on their front lawns, which read, "Support my neighbors in tents, no encampment evictions."
The city simply doesn't have enough space inside.
The city says there are anywhere from 30 to 60 encampment sites in Toronto and between 400 to 500 people living in them. According to the city's website, the occupancy rate at shelters for families was at a 90% occupancy rate last night. For single individuals, nearly 93%. COVID-19 hotels are almost at 96% capacity and temporary response sites over 99%. Street Pastor Doug Johnson says the only solution is actual housing for those who are homeless.
I hear regularly cited that there's a fear of getting COVID inside a shelter or shelter hotel.
Last year, City Council approved a 10-year affordable housing plan. 100 modular homes have already been built, with 124 more to come by the end of this year.
10-year plan is a long time, but because it takes a long time to build housing, but there is also housing stock and available housing for people.
Those who see and feel the lack of affordable housing say what's happening right now is failing those who have nowhere to live.
The city working against us and sending police in to clear encampments isn't doing it. You have the roundtables already. You're just not including the voices of homelessness and the activists.
The city says more than 5,500 people have been housed since the pandemic began. The street pastor with Sanctuary Toronto says until we are caught up on affordable housing, there needs to be a space in parks that is shareable for those experiencing homelessness.